y'all, what's up, it's your girl here, MJ's Nia. Welcome to the channel. So yes, yet again, I was gonna make a video on the airplane crashes, but right when I was about to make one, another plane, I think it was like 2 hours ago, crashes. So let's go ahead and talk about these airplane crashes, because something is going on, and I don't know if this is going to be pushed through the algorithm, because normally when I talk about topics like this, it doesn't get pushed on my channel, and it's not because the people ain't watching it. It's just YouTube is not really pushing these type of topics through, but they need to let people know that there's something going on with the airlines. They're not staying up in the sky. These airplanes are falling. So let me go ahead and play this video for you guys.
Out of Toronto, where a Delta Airlines flight arriving from Minneapolis has crashed on landing. That's according to the FAA. You're looking at live images from Toronto's Pearson Airport. The jet appears to have flipped upside down. It is a developing situation, and a lot is unknown at this hour, but here's what we do know. The incident happened around 2:45 p.m. Eastern. 80 people were on board the aircraft. Pearson Airport has said in a post on X that all passengers and all crew have been accounted for, and emergency crews are responding. A local official tells MSNBC that 9 people have been injured. One is in critical condition and has been airlifted to a nearby trauma center. A child was also injured and taken by ambulance to a local hospital. This video shows passengers evacuating from the jet. The flight is operated by a regional subsidiary of Delta Airlines called Endeavour Airlines. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada is currently in charge of this investigation. Let's bring in my colleague, MSNBC host Ali Velshi, who also happens to be a pilot. He's been tracking this story for us. Also joining us, NTSB investigator, MSNBC aviation analyst Jeff Gazzetti will join us momentarily. Ali Velshi, I've been listening to you on the air with our friend and colleague Katie Tur. Just reset for us what you believe to be the circumstances around this now flipped over upside down jet.
So it's a Delta feeder jet. It's not a mainline jet, but Minneapolis, as you know, is one of the major centers for Delta. Toronto is the major hub in Canada. It was on its way in. It was completely full. It's got 76 seats on that plane, two people in the cockpit, a pilot and a co-pilot, and 2 crew. So that was a full complement, which is typical of planes coming into Toronto. The issue is the weather in Toronto has been very bad. It's had 2 back-to-back storms, 3+ feet of snow on the ground. I mean, I've had family sending me pictures for the last several days of just snow, which Canadians don't do because they're used to snow. Plane came in, the landing speed's about 150 miles an hour, so think about that. Plane seems to get to the ground at 150 miles an hour. Now, if it flips over at 150 miles an hour, it probably wouldn't look the way it looks right now. It would probably be destroyed. So something happened. The pilots figured out something. The plane then seems to have flipped over. Now, what we don't see is landing gear, so we don't know whether the landing gear failed, the landing gear broke, the landing gear wasn't open, or could it be that the winds are very high? The plane could have caught some wind as it was landing. The snow, the banks along the runways have been cleared, but the banks along the runways have a lot of snow. So that sometimes happens. You hit some snow and then you go over, or snow blows onto the runway and becomes ice. The plane gets to the ground. Most people get off. There are 9 injured. Some of those injuries are supposedly to do with the weather, because it's minus 4 degrees Fahrenheit in Toronto. But the 2 who have been sent to hospital, one is a child by land ambulance. There are very, very good children's hospitals in Toronto. It's a children's hospital center, really, for Canada. The other one was medevac to a trauma center. Again, that's because Toronto is a very heavily trafficked city. It's got excellent trauma hospitals, but it would be more standard to put somebody on a helicopter and in 5 minutes be at a trauma center. So that's what we're looking at right now. We are told that the critical injury is not life-threatening, which is great news if true. But amazing to look at these pictures, to see an upside-down plane on a runway, a jet, and understand that maybe 9 people are injured, and we're hoping it's not more than that. A lot of questions. The airport's closed right now. There were winds gusting up to 27 miles per hour, which would be entirely manageable for a CRJ 900 like that. That would not be winds that would necessarily cause it to flip. And the kinds of planes I flew, if you had 27 mile per hour gusts, I wouldn't fly. But that's not in and of itself the danger. Whether the wind caught it and the wing caught some snow, or there was ice on the runway, It might be in concert with other things that the wind was a factor, but the weather is definitely a factor there. There's a lot of snow to the extent that even the city of Toronto has said it might take weeks to get that city cleared of the snow that it's got right now. So the weather is probably the most likely factor at the moment.
Ali, do we know if there were cancellations in and out of the airport at the time of this incident?
I don't know yet, and I know this plane was coming in a little bit late, and it showed as delayed. Typically, when there is the kind of weather you've got in Toronto like this, you see departure delays because they're de-icing all the planes. When it's that cold, they have to de-ice the planes. So you'll see an airport. It's like an airfield. It's like much bigger than a football field, just full of planes waiting to take off. So you often have departure delays. We did not know of any incoming delays. I've seen some questions raised on social media about should the airport have even been open. It's important to remember this is Canada's biggest airport. It's a major hub, not just for Canada, but for international flights and for American flights. So pressure on airports to stay open it tends to be high. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, airports tend not to close. Even after DCA, after that plane crash at Reagan National, remember one of the first things they announced is they'll be open at 11 o'clock the next morning. So the airport is now closed, by the way. It's fully closed because they need to investigate, and they need to make sure that if it was weather or wind, or they surmise that it might be, these investigations take a long time. They want to make sure this doesn't happen twice. So I don't know if there were delays coming in. I know there were delays getting out.
Jeff Gazzetti joins us as well. Jeff, just pick up where Ali has left off about what questions you have as an investigator.
Well, it really is striking to me that we have yet another major airline event. And this one appears to be very serious because it's lying upside down without its wings. So you know something very traumatic must have happened. And it is really a miracle that there were no fatalities. Fingers crossed on the critically injured person. We hope these serious injuries will clear up in time. But right now, Nicole, it's really we just have too many questions and not enough answers. We have an airplane that experienced some sort of trauma during landing, and to the point where its entire wing box ripped off and the fuselage continued and came to rest upside down. There doesn't appear to be a whole lot of thermal damage or fire damage, which is a miracle because those wings hold fuel, and fortunately they didn't blow, it seems. So it's a miracle with regard to the survivability design of the aircraft too. The 16G seats that are designed not to move in a crash like this, the seat belts. So it's but it's still very troubling. The wind was very high, as Captain Cox indicated, and that may have played a role in this, but it could have been a compounding factor with something else, perhaps an engine issue or a flight control issue. We just don't know right now.
Jeff, we're hearing that there are now 15 people with injuries, but to your point, quite miraculous to look at this image and report that the injuries aren't more plentiful when there were 80 people on board. I just want to ask you, in terms of what you can see, what we can all see, this image on our screen, if you've ever seen this before.
Yes, I've seen numerous accidents, some involving smaller business jets, others involving larger transport category airplanes. For example, you had the Asiana 777 landing at San Francisco about, must have been 10, 12 years ago, where that airplane coming into San Francisco hit the seawall and began to tumble and ended up upside down. But its wings were attached. Here we don't see that. I recently investigated an accident involving a Bombardier type of airplane where it left the runway for suspicious reasons, perhaps a crosswind, perhaps a nose landing gear steering problem upon touchdown. That could cause an airplane to come off the runway, strike something, and flip over. But it really, until we see video, and I'm sure there is video of this airplane making its approach, we really don't know the sequence of events here yet.
Ali Velshi, just jump in on how striking it is to be covering another potentially even more catastrophic airline incident.
I mean, this one certainly looks catastrophic. That's the amazing part of it, to look at this, what the pictures that we're looking at, and and not know that anyone has perished in this. Again, I want to remind everybody, this is the Bombardier, the CRJ 900 is made by Bombardier. Bombardier is now made by Mitsubishi, but it used to be a Canadian company. This plane was made in Canada. They're generally speaking very safe planes unto themselves, and they are, passenger planes are meant to think about crashes. However, the plane went over. One of the first images you saw was fire trucks moving in, because the fuel is in the wings. And when you crash a plane, if you're in a plane, one of the first things you think about is, if that plane were to crash, how do you not make it also be a fire? Because if anybody survives it, the thing that can really get you is the fire. So you see that's being sprayed with foam. It was being sprayed with foam as passengers were getting off. Toronto has had a major crash many, many years ago. It was an Air France flight. Everybody got off of that as well, by the way. That was remarkable. The crew did an amazing job. The flight attendants got everybody off in a calm and safe fashion. So Toronto has a great deal of experience with running a safe airport. They were on it very fast. But one of these things is, once that plane's upside down, you don't know what's going on. This plane came in at 150 miles an hour. That's roughly the speed at which a plane has to land. Now, when there are gusting winds, the pilot, upon landing that plane, in the seconds before they land, they've got to play with that throttle and that power and their steering and their rudders to keep it on track. And sometimes you have to add power, and sometimes you have to take power away. It's really the most complicated part of flight. People don't think about it. It's the part where you're on your phone, you've told people you're landed, you're undoing your seatbelt. It is the most complicated part of flight. And so we're going to learn a lot, because the crew seems to be alive, and I'm hoping this is the case. I'm hoping everybody's alive. We're going to learn a lot about what happened, and there will be real lessons from this one. The question remains as to whether that airport should have been open or closed with gusting winds and 2 to 3 feet of snow without shoveling that snow, without moving the snow out of the way, which means the banks of the runways may have had more snow than they should have. So what happened with the wings, it's hard to tell. Was that because the wings clipped some snow? Was that in the turnover of the airplane? We need to understand what the landing gear is. But as your other guest said, these are all compounding factors. In many cases, when you're dealing with weather is every pilot's enemy, because it's unpredictable, it changes frequently, and as a pilot, you've got to make decisions. That's not a control tower telling you as you're coming in. They give you the weather readout. You have to fly your plane to the ground. So the idea that this plane touched down at something like...
Okay, so there you have it. This is breaking news. Learned a whole lot about what was going on, in the past with, other airplanes crashing. There's a lot of questions that needs to be answered. One of the thing is, I keep seeing Delta Airlines. Every time I look, something's going on with them, or in general, something's going on with the airplanes in America, because some people were like, oh, well, this happened in Canada. I understand that, but Delta belongs to the United States. So we need some answers as to what's going on with these airlines, with these airplanes. I just went to go and try to look for this airplane, and let me show you guys what I saw. Now, I did saw that they had one, let's see, I think they showed like one airplane crash. Let me see. Yeah, they were showing like one airplane crash from one country, but the rest of them, as y'all can see, I don't know if this is I don't know who this is. This is one day ago. A pilot dead after plane crashing in Florida. I don't know if that's a private jet or whatnot. But then they're talking about the Vance News private jet crashes during landing in Arizona. This is the recent one, Toronto. We're gonna get into conversation about whistleblowers too as well. But it just go to show you, like, I even saw some like 2024. Like, when I was trying to look this up, it was showing old airplane crashes that's been crashing, like the Philadelphia plane crash. Like, it's just, what is going on? And I'm just talking about just let alone this year, but there has been a lot of airplane crashes in 2024. So let's go into that topic. Daily U.S. plane crashes in 2025. There's a timeline already. This is ridiculous. There's a timeline. It says there have been 4 deadly plane crashes in the United States in 2025. In total, 85 people have died in the 2025 plane crashes. So down here is a timeline. It says January 29th Bombardier CRJ-700 operating as American Airlines Flight 5342 collided with the Sky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter above the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. All 64 people on board the CRJ-700 and 3 on board the helicopter were killed. January the 31st, a medical jet crash in Philadelphia killed 7 people. The Learjet generated a massive fireball when it smashed into the ground in a neighborhood not long after taking off from a small airport nearby. February 6th, Sonessa 208B Grand Caravan operating as a Bering Air Flight 445 from, I think it's called Unalaki to Nome, Alaska, went missing 10 minutes before its scheduled arrival at Nome. The wreckage of the aircraft was found 34 miles from Nome in the Bering Sea, and all 10 people on board the aircraft died. February the 10th, a plane veered off the runway and crashed into a parked plane at Scottsdale Airport in Arizona. 1 person was killed and 4 were injured. This is just 2025. We're not even talking about 2024. We're not even talking about that. So we need some answers. We need to know what's going on with our airplanes in America. We need to discuss this because Delta is owned by America. It's not owned by Air Canada. It's owned by here. It wasn't the weather. Who knows? The weather, I've talked about how bad the weather has been lately over these past years. But we need to know what's going on with the airplanes right now as to why there's been more crashes than usual, because typically airplanes are supposed to be more safer up in the air versus us driving a car, because when we drive a car we get in more accidents on the ground. Am I right? So what's going on? We need some answers. Let's play this video. I didn't watch this video, so hopefully it can just give us a brief summary of what's going on out here with these airplane crashes.
Feed your team. Best corporate meal platform. Seamlessly integrate delivery into your enterprise business.
Both sets of flight data recorders from the mid-air collision near Washington, D.C. are now in custody of safety investigators.
More importantly, the investigative team says those devices appear to be intact, meaning they can extract data that could explain what was happening in both aircraft during those final moments. 67 people were killed when a Black Hawk helicopter crashed into an American Airlines passenger jet. The NTSB warned against drawing any conclusions at this point based on incomplete information.
Our job is to just come out with the probable cause, but then more importantly, make recommendations so that this type of tragedy never occurs again.
And the NTSB has brought in a Black Hawk helicopter expert to work on this investigation. Fox 4's Sean Rabb in studio with more. Sean.
You know, the so-called black boxes hold treasure troves of information about both the flight and the pilots. Now, older Black Hawk helicopters were stripped of devices that recorded what was happening in the cockpit. But this was a newer model, and in it, a combined flight data and real-time voice recording. The biggest news so far is that the Sikorsky Black Hawk helicopter that collided with that American Airlines passenger jet was equipped with a combined flight and voice data recorder.
I can tell you from a visual inspection, we saw no exterior damage that would indicate that it was compromised.
Coupled with the black boxes from the plane means investigators will know what was going on in both cockpits before the horrific accident. Pilot and aviation attorney Ron McCallum.
Any communication about observing conflicting traffic and also what they were doing in the cockpit in the final moments just before they were going to touchdown and the collision itself.
As the recovery work plied on in dreary, rainy weather, interviews of the air traffic controllers on duty at the time of the accident are underway.
If you listen to the transcript from the air traffic control, all he said was, do you have the visual on the CRJ? It wasn't specific enough when there were multiple aircraft in their field of view.
North Texas veteran Elizabeth McCormick, a decorated Black Hawk pilot, says not only was the chopper too high, but the air traffic controllers should have been clear in communicating with the helicopter crew.
In my experience flying, an air traffic controller would say, do you have the CRJ at 11 o'clock? descending? Do you have the CRJ at 5 o'clock, right, ascending?
You had a helicopter that was, the Black Hawk was too high. It was above the 200 limit by double.
President Donald Trump not waiting on the NTSB, doubling down on the helicopter being above its 200-foot ceiling.
That is inappropriate pilot conduct on behalf of the Black Hawk crew. There could be any number of reasons why that happened, one of which could be what we know from air traffic control asking the Black Hawk crew if they would acknowledge and had seen the traffic, which they did.
The FAA today indefinitely restricting helicopters around Reagan National, where we've heard so much about the congested flight paths.
Imagine the Mixmaster, right? Imagine the Mixmaster at night. Now imagine all those different levels without the roads that you can see.
A Potomac River keeper, downriver from the accident, came across debris that you might not think twice about were it not for the tragedy in the air.
These are some of the sugar packets from the plane.
So right now, 2 investigative tracks to follow. What's revealed from the recording devices, that's going to be important, and what's learned in those interviews with air traffic controllers working Wednesday night when that helicopter and the American Eagle jet collided, taking 67 souls.
All right, Sean Rabb in studio, thank you very much. Please stay with us. Our coverage of the deadly...
Okay, so that was just briefly them talking about that. Well, not briefly. They're giving us a whole lot of what happened. I think that was the helicopter one, that incident. Let me see if I go back down. Yeah, I think that was the helicopter incident. You know, yet again, yeah, the helicopter, the Black Hawk. Yeah, that happened in January 29th. You know, we need some answers. I just want to know what's going on. Like, why is it our skies are not safe for us to be flying? You know, I want to travel out of the country to, you know, other continents. You know, that's my goal. That's one of the things I've talked about on this channel. I want to go visit, you know, Africa. You know, there's some places in Asia that I want to visit. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen for me because I'm a person that's already scared of heights. I'm already, you know, fear heights. So I've never flown. And I'm, you know, was taking, you know, I was like, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to go, you know, start saving up money for my, you know, my airplane, you know, my flights so I can go out, travel out the country. But it's just not safe now with the aircraft. Like, what's going on up there in the sky? I'm just tired of hearing people losing their lives, you know, up in the sky. That's supposed to be more safer than being on the ground driving a car. Now, we have to discuss this whistleblower thing. 2 of the whistleblowers died. And I want to look up that word whistleblower. So there's several like information on it. So we're going to look at all of them. I know Wikipedia is kind of, you know, anybody can go in there and change the information around. But I want to show you what the dictionary said. This is the Oxford language. It says whistleblower, a person who forms on a person or organization engaged in illicit activity. So here it says to the DNI, .gov. It says, what does it mean if someone is a whistleblower? A whistleblower is any individual who provides the right information to the right people. Stated differently, lawful whistleblowing occurs when an individual provides information that they reasonably believe evidence wrongdoing to an unauthorized recipient. Did y'all hear that? So I want people to know that because I saw that in the past when people talk about whistleblowers, some people know what it is and some people don't know. So now you know the definition. And then there goes Wikipedia version of it. It says whistleblowing is an activity of person, often an employee, revealing information about an activity within a private or public organization that is deemed illegal, immoral, illicit, unsafe, or fraudulent. Whistleblowers can use a variety of internal or external channels to communicate information or allegations. So same, all 3 of them have, you know, the same thing. Is some illegal activities going on. So illicit activities. Something's wrong is happening and it's just getting brushed, you know, underneath the rug and nobody cares about it. So that's pretty much what whistleblowing is what whistleblower is. Now, I want you guys to listen to this Boeing whistleblower reveal years of concern over airplane parts. This is 2 months ago with 60 Minutes. I'm going to play the whole thing for you guys. Here you go. So I'm going to say it and say it again. This video was supposed to be uploaded like 3 days ago. And I've been trying to edit this part over again because YouTube keeps copyrighting it. I don't see 60 Minutes copyrighting it, but I see that YouTube keeps copyrighting it and they're blocking the whole video. So basically, if you go to on the YouTube channel 60 Minutes, it's actually a show that you can see on television, but they have their own channel called 60 Minutes. It's called Bowie Whistleblowers Reveal Years of Concern Over Airplane Parts, 60 Minutes. Go watch the whole video. I'm gonna briefly talk about it. So basically, you have these whistleblowers who work for the company, and they're letting you know that there are broken parts, missing parts, wrong parts being put on the airplanes, and everybody is in competition with each other, and they're all fighting over parts, and they don't care what it is. And basically, it was talking about the reason why this conversation came up was because if you, as you can see here, if you zoom, I'll probably might zoom in. The door came off on the airplane, and also the airplanes are crashing and stuff like that. And people are trying to figure out what is going on with these airplanes, and we know we want answers. Yet again, this is why I said I don't think the video is gonna get pushed to a lot of people. I might get maybe 10 or 5 views on this video, but I'm still gonna make it because a lot of people, um, some people do want to see this type of content. So here's the door. This is how it looked. So they were talking about this door as to why is this happening? Why is parts, falling off the plane? And why is it airplanes? What's going on with them? And the whistleblowers, they're speaking out. So this is an employee that spoke out. This is I believe, an employee as well that spoke out. This is an employee that spoke out as well, and he passed away. They thought his death was really unsudden. They said that he, committed the S word. A lot of people are skeptical about it. This is his family who's kind of speaking out. Right here, this is his family that's talking about, what type of person he was, and he was concerned, and about what was going on at this at Bowie factory. This is another guy who's a whistleblower that spoke out against the company. And then also Bowie had made a statement to 60 Minutes. They didn't want to talk, but they had a statement to 60 Minutes. And they were talking about how, this total gaslighting. That's all they were doing in here. Let me see if I can find the little pastures here. It says some of their feedback contributed to improvements and other issues they raised were not accurate. So they're talking about the people who's working there, the employees, the whistleblowers. That's what they're telling 60 Minutes. Then it says, based on investigation over several years, none of their claims were found to affect airplane safety. I'm trying to make a video and you doing this. Here. I don't know why you wait till I came home. As I was saying, it says based on investigation over several years, none of their claims were found to affect airplane safety. So it's just a whole lot of, gaslighting, just trying to, they're making a statement, but they won't sit down with 60 Minutes to actually talk about it. They wrote a letter. Yeah, very, very, that's very telling. So, like I stated, there's been complaints and versus the Boeing company. Go watch this video because for some reason YouTube is copyrighting it, but like I say, it's not 60 Minutes itself that's copyrighting it. I want to put that out there. When I made the Kendra Lamar video about the halftime show, it took me like 6 up tries to upload that video. I had to re-edit it and upload it because it was blocked everywhere. And I saw NFL had copyright some of it, but when I finished editing it, re-edited it, I saw that YouTube kept finding stuff wrong with the video. They don't want you to have educational videos for some reason. I just feel like they just want you to talk about celebrity gossip, and that's that. But Kendrick Lamar one is celebrity gossip, but it really wasn't because he had a message in his song, and I was talking about the message that was in his Super Bowl performance, excuse me. So I've been noticing that lately. I want people to be aware of this. that they are trying to block these type of videos. They don't want people to be educated as to what's going on in America. So yeah, I'm gonna put this in there and finish up the video for you guys. Lot to impact, and there goes the whistleblower up there who was found dead. You know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories online about why he died. There was somebody else too that passed away. Says another Boeing whistleblower found dead. So let's go ahead, hear who this guy is that passed away.
Good morning and welcome back. Here's an eyebrow raiser. A second Boeing whistleblower, now dead after experiencing a brief illness. This comes after Joshua Dean expressed concerns over manufacturing issues with the company's 737 MAX planes. Madeline Rivera is live with the latest on this. Madeline.
Hey, good morning, Guy. Joshua Dean's family says this all happened very quickly. The 45-year-old died Tuesday after an agonizing 2 weeks in critical condition, rather. His aunt tells the Seattle Times Dean started having trouble breathing. He was intubated, got pneumonia, and then MRSA. Before he died, doctors were considering amputating his hands and feet, but he was too weak for surgery. His attorney says Josh's passing is a loss to the aviation community and the flying public. He possessed tremendous courage to stand up for what he felt was true and right and raise quality and safety issues. Dean used to work as a quality inspector for Spirit Aerosystems, a Boeing supplier. He was fired in April 2023. He said it was in retaliation for flagging safety concerns regarding the 737 MAX plane. Dean was mentioned as part of a shareholder lawsuit against Spirit in which he alleged Spirit would throw pizza parties to celebrate a drop in the number of problems. But he said Spirit undercounted the defects instead of actually reducing them. The death of Dean comes just weeks after the death of John Barnett. Barnett was a Boeing whistleblower who local authorities say shot and killed himself March 9th. Barnett was also in the middle of a lawsuit claiming he was wrongfully terminated by Boeing after accusing the company of covering up defects with the 787 Dreamliner. Boeing and Spirit are under a lot of scrutiny after a door panel flew off an Alaska Airlines plane in midair in January. In March, the FAA gave Boeing 90 days to come up with an action plan to fix quality control issues. Brian.
All right, Maddie, thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian.
I want you guys to see what people are saying. Say they aren't even hiding it anymore. This is what people are saying. They're speaking out against this. Hitmen are cheaper than billion-dollar payouts. The only one thing more dangerous than flying a Boeing is being a whistleblower against them. At this point, Boeing needs to be investigated. Another whistleblower dead are three words that should never go together. The problem when you live in a country ruled by corporation. There's been people talking about that they find this very odd. I do apologize for the audio. Hopefully I'll be able to fix the audio earlier. But man, I really do apologize about my mic acting up. Ooh, I need to give you a new microphone. But I want to hear from the whistleblowers because you see them passing away. I told you people were talking about this in 2024. Like this just they've been talking about like what's going on with these airlines. So we're going to click on some of them, play some of these TikTokers and see what they got to say.
You're putting a lot at risk. I mean, these folks have families they're supporting. This is their main source of income. And, you know, they've seen other employees that have been terminated or demoted or given a hard time.
US Attorney Brian Knowles has witnessed the pain. His client, 62-year-old John Barnett, former quality control engineer, was a powerful voice in the fight against Boeing until, tragically, he couldn't take it any longer. Did it cost him his life?
It did. The man had been diagnosed with PTSD. He was having nightmares about planes crashing, and it pushed him over the edge. He was not only a client, he was my friend. He was a man of high integrity and ethics.
Another Boeing whistleblower has just mysteriously expired. His friends and family have made it abundantly clear that he was perfectly healthy, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, he became very, very ill. Dean, who is 45 and lived in Wichita, Kansas, was in good health before he began to experience trouble breathing. about 2 weeks ago and went to the hospital. He was in very critical condition. He tested positive for influenza B and MRSA, a difficult to treat bacterial infection. Then he developed pneumonia. He was intubated and put on dialysis, as well as airlifted to another hospital to be put on an ECMO machine, a form of cardiac and respiratory life support. A CT scan showed that he had also suffered a stroke. Doctors were considering amputating his hands and feet, which had turned black from lack of oxygen. I'm going to say two things right now. The first thing is hundreds of thousands of people do die from the flu and pneumonia every single year. And the second thing is biological warfare absolutely does exist. It is real. And if you wanted to really cover your tracks, that would be the way to go. Because it's really easy to point at this and say, he just got sick. How could that possibly have anything to do with Boeing? If this is in fact just a coincidence, it's a very unfortunate coincidence for Boeing because it's so suspicious and people already do not trust them. And I think the timing of it coming after we just went through years of conspiracy theories about viruses also does not help. So good luck to Boeing clearing their reputation on this one.
More information has been released on John Barnett, the Boeing whistleblower. It turned out he was testifying for 2 straight days, starting on Thursday, March 7th, and on Friday, March 8th. After those 2 days, he had wanted to go home, back to Louisiana, but Boeing's lawyers asked him to testify for 1 more day on Saturday, March 9th. So he complied, and instead of making it to courts the following day, on March 9th, he was actually found unalived in his car, with a note stating what he did to himself. Now, I'm no detective, but if it sounds like and looks like foul play, it probably is.
Another Boeing whistleblower, Joshua Dean, tragically passed away at the age of 45 due to a sudden and severe infection. His untimely death raises concerns about the safety of whistleblowers and the aviation industry as a whole. This shocking event highlights the risks individuals take to expose wrongdoing and the importance of protecting those who speak out. Joshua's bravery and dedication will not be forgotten, and his legacy serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by those who strive for transparency and accountability.
I'm sorry, I just find it very odd. You know, people coming up, whistleblowers for airlines who speaking out, people who are speaking out about illegal activity and, you know, wrong things, wrong parts being fighting over for airplanes, you know, just for competition. And we're finding out that these airplanes have issues. There's things being put on there that's wrong and wrong item, wrong parts. And, you know, we got some whistleblowers coming up dead. 2 of them. Let me know if there's another one. I only saw 2. They've been talking about this from last year coming to this year. So I've been wanting to make a video on this. And here we got again. We have an airplane right in front of us upside down. That just happened over 2 hours ago. I would like some answers. Somebody needs to let us know what's going on. People wants to go visit their families. You know, people want to go traveling out of the country. And you know, airplanes are the quickest and the fastest. We need answers. We need answers because I'm tired of hearing this, that people are getting hurt and killed, mostly killed from airplanes. This is ridiculous. I don't like this. Like I say, I don't think they're going to push this through the algorithm. I don't think they're going to show this to my subscribers. But for the people who watch it, thank you. Because some subscribers do click on just to see if I make a content. But people are worried. We want to know what's going on. This is life and death. This is literally life and death. Like I said, a lot of people use the airplanes because they're quicker and faster. And they're supposed to be more safer than driving a car. You know, than driving a car to your destination. I mean, you can't drive to Japan. You have to take an airplane. You can't drive to Africa. You got to take an airplane. You can't drive to Europe. You got to take airplanes. You know, people who take it, some people who conduct business have to go out of the country. So I need some answers. Everybody needs some answers right now. ASAP. We need to get this fixed. Boeing, y'all, we need some answers. We need things done. We need to make sure that people are getting to their destination safely, not dead, safely. Okay, not hurt, safely. This is a little too much here now. But let me know what y'all think down below in the comment area. But as for now, to see y'all later. Peace.
not caring, they be sharing. All their money got me wearing fly. Girl, but I ain't asking. They say they love my ass and 7 G's to religion. I say no, but they keep giving, so I keep on taking. And no, I ain't taking. We can keep on taking. I keep on demonstrating my love, my love, my love, my love. You love my lady lumps, my hump, my hump, my hump. My humps, they got you. Got you, they got you. They got you, got you, they got you.